Dim the lights, son. There's a lot of rules with this gremlin, let me tell you. So the gremlins can't be in the sunlight or just bright lights in general. You need to dim the lights, but I guess sunlight will literally kill them maybe. You can't have them touch water, and we'll talk about what happens when that goes down, because they clearly, all these rules are broken in this movie. And you cannot feed them after midnight. That's very specific. These are very specific rules to follow for a pet, and to give to your son, like, that's so many rules. You can't do anything with this pet, really. If I'm trying to get a gift for somebody, I think I wouldn't stop when I hear all these restrictions on this cool, cute little animal. It's cute, don't get me wrong, but there's so many rules and restrictions with it. Why would you agree upon? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the HEZ Project. I'm John Rodalaza, and today we're continuing the HEZ-MAS event we have going on during the month of December, where I review Christmas-related movies, and I know I'm running a little late on them. I still got 3 more left, and there's only a few days left, so there may be some videos canceled here and there. I don't know what's going on. I might overwork myself the rest of this week, so stay tuned. We're gonna get content, but for right now, let's talk about a Christmas movie that I didn't really know was a Christmas movie, and after watching it, doesn't really feel like a Christmas movie no matter how much it centers around Christmas, but we'll go with it. It is Gremlins. Let's talk about it. So before the month of December, I was seeking out other Christmas movies that I've never seen before, because I feel like I've seen the most popular ones that people love to rewatch, like Home Alone. For me, it's Jingle all the way. But Home Alones, I've seen those, and Elf and all that, but I wanted to find a bunch that I've never seen before, and Gremlins was on a couple lists. The film opens up with a father trying to find a Christmas gift for his son, and he ends up finding this old wise man who has this very strange looking creature that's never really been seen before. And this kid who's with the old man, he's like, hey, why don't you just take it, man? We can make some money off of this, Pop. And the old man's just like, no, it's too much responsibility. The young kid ends up making the back alley deal with the father, in which he then buys the gremlin, brings it home, puts it, wraps it in a box, gives it to his son, and his son's like, what is it? I don't know, but you gotta dim the lights first. The plot of the movie is fairly simple. It all just stems from the moment the father gives his son the gremlin for an early Christmas present. That's really just what it is. It's him dealing with it. It's like, oh, it's a cute little thing, and then slowly do we get to see what happens when these restrictions are not, followed, and, you break the rules and whatnot. The mother wants to take a picture with the son and the gremlin, and of course the flash is a bright light, and it scares the living crap out of the gremlin. He gets a little bit of water on the gremlin in like a couple scenes later, and it starts to boil. Like its skin and its fur start to boil, it looks like, but then something just pops out, and then something else that pops out, and there's like 6 different balls of fur on the ground that just popped out of the first gremlin, which is called Gizmo, by the way. And these little balls of fur start to grow and just get bigger and bigger, almost as big as the first gremlin, and they all become gremlins with their own different unique looks. One of them has like a white mohawk, and the other ones are just have little characteristics that set them apart. I don't really remember all of them, but the one with the mohawk kind of just stood out to me, of course. So when a gremlin gets touched by water, they multiply. That is insane. And to think, one of these gremlins, Gizmo, was the first one. To think that there's so many restrictions to be his caregiver. And then now there's 7 of them. Now there's 7 of them. This kid, I don't know his name, and yeah, I don't know any of the actors' names at the moment. I've never really seen any of them to my knowledge. They're all kind of fresh faces to me. I didn't really bother to look up anybody's names, but the son decides to take one of the gremlins that he hatched last night. He decides to take one of them to a scientist at his school, one of his science teachers, I presume. And he's like, look what happens when I touch it with water. As if he didn't just make that mistake the previous night. He's like, huh, look at this. Makes a careless mistake, in my opinion. So now the science teacher at school has a gremlin. The kid has got 7 at home, and now he's just chilling with Gizmo on the bed because Gizmo's cool. But the other ones are just in like this little baby crate, and they're like asking for food, and the kid's looking at his clock. It says it's like 5-10 minutes to 12, so he's like, you know, he's got some time, right? But then it cuts back to the high school with the science teacher. He's munching on something, and the clock behind him shows that it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, so that he leaves a sandwich right near the cage, and the gremlin literally reaches out with his tiny little paw, grabs it, drags the sandwich closer, and munches on it. Now, all right, there we go. We'll see what happens there. My mind was like so clueless. I was not aware of what was gonna happen next. And I'm thinking, all right, so we saw it was like almost 12 with the kid's clock, and it was like 2 in the morning at the high school. So I'm like, all right, so we did a little time jump there. All right, that's fine. Because the kid thought it was before midnight, he finds this conveniently placed plate of chicken inside his fridge, grabs it, feeds it to all the gremlins. Then it's revealed that the clock was unplugged. It was 2 a.m. I will say, before I get into the rest of the film, it's very fun. It's got this comedic element to it, but mixed in, you have this horror element with the gremlins. Like, there's this mystery to them. Even with Gizmo, before Gizmo, you know, multiplies, and then what happens to the other gremlins happens. But even with the cuddly, furry little thing, I was like kind of on the edge of my seat. I'm like, all right, what are you doing? What are you hiding from us? I almost never trusted Gizmo because I had a feeling he was going to wait for the kid to fall asleep, and then in the middle of the night he just like starts growing or something and like munches on him. Like, that's where my mind's going. But of course, this is the mind of, I don't know the director's name, Joe Dante, who directed Gremlins.
Gremlins was directed by Joe Dante.
Yeah, I swear to you, I said that before I looked it up. I swear. And it's also produced, heavily produced by Steven Spielberg and his like production company, I believe. There's a nice warmth to it. It's got that Christmas vibe just a little bit, but it's also got a horror element, and that I never thought it would mesh well together, but it does. Like, it fits. You got this cuddly side of the Gremlins that is very along the lines of a Christmas themed movie, but then we'll get into now when you feed the Gremlins after midnight. That's what the kid does, and that's what unfortunately happens with the gremlin at the high school. They all digest some food after midnight, and then they just grow into this cocoon. It's all sticky and gooey and slimy. There's like 6 cocoons now in the boys' bedroom, 1 inside the cage at the high school. And it's there for, I think, a day or so before they hatch. And now we got these monstrous looking gremlins. They're these like hard-shelled gremlins that they literally look like demons from hell. It is insane. They're not the cuddly little furry friends anymore. Nah. I will say the gremlins look amazing in here. I don't know if it's puppeteering or like animatronics, but they look fantastic. I don't know exactly what year this came in, but it's probably like 30-ish years old. They look amazing, dude. I would prefer this over unnecessary CGI, like having just an unnecessary CGI chipmunk, like from Alvin and the Chipmunks. Dude, I can only imagine the cool stuff that we can get nowadays. Like, I know it's probably easier to do little CGI stuff, but man, like if you can just keep going with the animatronics and just perfect that art, it'd be dope. I will say I didn't really have that much of an attachment to like any of the characters, really. I thought it was kind of nice and cute that the son was trying to, you know, have a relationship with the one girl, but then they didn't really touch upon that ever. Like, they had that nice moment, you know, in front of her house, and then he kind of just like went about his life taking care of his gremlins. I'd say one of the more entertaining characters was the father. Like, he's just this inventor creating all these wacky machines that never worked. They were always kind of pointless or broken on arrival. They were just so wacky, and I liked his character a little bit, but again, they didn't really do much with him. He was kind of oblivious to the overall thing that was going on in the film, which were the gremlins going wild. I will say one of my favorite scenes was in the kitchen when the gremlins first hatched into their like final form, and the son finally realized, oh crap, I have 6 of those in my bedroom. My mom's home. And then the mom starts to hear noises in the kitchen, and she grabs a knife and she slowly kills like 3 of them in the kitchen. That was amazing. She microwaved one and that exploded. She put one in the blender that went all over the place. Blood splatter, of course, Gremlin splatter. And dude, it was like really interesting to see that turn in the film. It was very much a Christmas vibe going into that scene, and then that scene hit and it was this slasher. And the little jingle, the Gremlins jingle in here was so entertaining, and to see the Gremlins kind of just doing their own thing, like one of them was smoking at the bar, like they went to the bar that the girl works at, the one that the main kid's crushing on. They went to her bar and just started ordering a bunch of drinks, a bunch of food, just it looked like a smokehouse and a bunch of crap was all over the place. I enjoyed the silliness and the ridiculousness of the Gremlins, and to be honest, like they were the best characters of the movie, in my opinion. I just didn't really connect to anybody else. Guys, in the end, the things that worked for me with Gremlins is the tone. I think they really nailed it. It's got that Christmas vibe, but it's also got a horror element that I think would work for a HEZ-Ween event too. It is to its core a little bit of a chill movie. Like it's the son learning about the Gremlins and getting that relationship, that little bit of a relationship with Gizmo up until the old man returns and takes Gizmo away. Like, good on you, dude. Like, I don't think this kid would have been responsible enough to take care of him. But the movie for me shines the most when the Gremlins are on screen, when they're just doing their shenanigans, when they become their final forms and start doing the wacky stuff, and especially just that scene with them and the mother. I loved it, dude. It becomes this slasher film that takes place on Christmas, and that's a really good combo. And I think the duo between Joe Dante and Steven Spielberg, how they meshed together and created this movie, it works, dude. I love it. It's a lot of fun. But like I said, it's got the weak humans, but I wouldn't necessarily say that they're pointless and I just want a Gremlins movie. I don't think this movie works without the humans, but they could have been a little more interesting in my opinion. So guys, those are my thoughts on the Gremlins film. Let me know down below, have you ever seen Gremlins and what do you think about it? Leave a like and subscribe to the channel for new guys, and be sure to stick around to the rest of the week for videos, because I really don't know at the moment what's going to happen in the rest of the week. All I know is that you can expect a HEZ best and worst movies, TV, and video game video all in one. I don't have enough content to talk about games in one video for the best of 2021. I played maybe like 3. So be on the lookout for what I considered the best movies, TV, and games, and also some of the worst of 2021. And on the 1st of January, the first day of 2022, I will be putting out a most anticipated of 2022 movies, TV shows, and games. So you might want to stick around because there's a bunch of content coming to the channel, especially those 2 videos I just talked about. And as I always say, there's more to come.